Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here with me today. It's a snowy day. Will winter ever end here in the Chicagoland area? Clearly not today. Thank you for being here. So my name's Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert. I'm a Shiatsu massage therapist, and my specialty is helping women get their bodies in alignment, mentally, emotionally, physically, figure out how they work, especially in regards if they have toxic people or relationships in their life. Hey, Jody, nice to see you. So today we're going to be talking about two things. Hey, Peggy. We're going to be talking about toxic energy, and we're going to be talking about negative emotions. Now, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of opinions, hey, Kellyanne, about toxic energy. And my interpretation of toxic energy is things that you can feel coming from something outside of you, other people or situations or stressors or things, which then cause us to have negative or uncomfortable emotions. So there's actually a lot of benefit to toxic energy around you. And one of the best benefits of toxic energy is that it triggers inside of you things which you haven't been able to heal. Hey, Marja. Things which in the past you haven't been able to look at or bring to the front for whatever reason. So when we have a negative emotion, let's say when we're in the womb, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 or 30 or 45, when we have a negative emotion and we're not able to move the energy, we're not able to speak it, or we're not able to feel it, or cry, or work it out, or move it in some way, or get into an argument even. If we're not able to move that energy in some way, all the way back to even when we were in our mother's womb, what happens is those emotion chemicals, those chemicals of negative emotion, hey, Anne Louise, let's say anger or hurt or insecurity or frustration or whatever it may be, those chemicals and that pattern, that nervous system pattern, they get trapped in our body. And so what happens is when we have something external, almost like a tuning fork, almost like a resonance or a vibration of some sort, when we've got toxic energy outside of us, what it does is it triggers all of those uncomfortable feelings that over our whole lifetime, maybe we weren't able to express in some way. And women especially, but all people, will feel it in different places. Maybe we'll feel it in, our hara. Maybe we'll feel it in our heart. Maybe we'll feel it in our throat or our head. We'll feel it in our different chakras. And we start thinking, oh, why do I have stomach problems? Why do I have heart problems? Why am I getting headaches all the time? Things like that. And many times it's negative emotions and past things that we haven't been able to move through as yet, that stayed trapped, and because they're trapped, they're giving us these health issues. So it's really helpful to learn how to tap into these trapped emotions, these trapped negative emotions we have, and move them and release them in some way, release those energetic patterns and release those chemicals. So my favorite way of doing it is comes from Buddhist practice, which is mindfulness. So let's say somebody out there, some narcissist, hey Carrie, that I'm working with, storms into my office and takes out all of their, insecurities and anxiety and pain and anger and frustration, and I feel all that toxic energy. That toxic energy triggers in me areas that are storing emotions, past memories, past ideas, beliefs, experiences that we weren't able to move and heal. So it triggers those, and then we end up feeling flooded by emotion. We end up feeling like now we're angry and now we're insecure and frustrated, because it's not only we've absorbed some of that, sure, but what it's really done is it's triggered us. So how do we detox all of these emotions that have built up in us, hey Carolina, since we were very, very small? So it's back to the mindfulness with the Buddhists. And so every morning I spend anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour and a half giving myself space to be present with whatever I feel. So let's say this morning, for example, My husband's been gone for 3 weeks, which means that my diet's been off and my healthy habits have kind of fallen off the wagon. You know, I went and had a lot of fun. And so that for me was toxic energy because it triggered in me, it opened up these doors of inflammation and reminded me where I still had parts of my body that need to be worked through, that held stuck emotions and still needed healing. And so I needed a long time this morning. And I went back to when I was, 6 or 7, sitting on a porch and feeling so alone and so isolated and having no one to talk to and so frightened I couldn't even express it to myself. We move negative emotions when we're present to them. Because when we're not present to them, when we're distracting ourselves, blocking it off, energetically protecting ourselves, when we're denying how we feel, what happens is our blood vessels narrow and all those emotions get absorbed somewhere. They don't actually release. And all of that nervous system patterns, they don't actually relax. They stay in kind of a place of tension in our body, creating circulation problems and creating physical toxicity problems. So you're present to it, you let yourself feel it, and you stay open to it. That may take like an hour, hour and a half. It may take a long time. Sometimes it takes days. But the point is that when you've got so many negative emotions stored up in your body that you haven't released, then you have to give yourself the time to be present to them so that you can release them, so that they can move out of your body. Now, as I said, I'll let myself say whatever I need to say in my head, scream, cry. It reminded me of the 60s with the whole primal scream therapy. I thought, yes, that has a point. I never got into the whole, taking a pillow and hitting something when you're angry. I got wore out too quick. I had too many negative emotions. And just hitting a pillow for a while did not cover the full spectrum of a lifetime of anger and pain and anxiety that had been stuffed. And so it's easier for me just to hold that sacred space and let myself feel and be whatever I'm feeling and being. Now, on the other side of this, while I'm doing it, I typically rest my hands wherever I feel it, because that's one way to tell your body to open up and let it detox itself. Another thing that I'll do is I'll keep my water nearby, and I'll make sure that I drink my water because that'll help flush out all of those negative emotions. It'll help move it out through your breath, through sweat, through your whole digestive process, through crying. When I drink water, I've opened up that door, those chemicals are coming into my system, and I'm flushing them out with the water, and I'm flushing them out by just holding those spaces so that the blood vessels will stay open. Hey, Maria, nice to see you. So on the other side of that is the healing part. You have to move all of this energy. Most of the women that I know, they've been taught or trained that they need to bypass all of the trauma that they've felt. Hey, Maggie, that they need to, as a friend of mine says, spiritually bypass all of that human stuff. But the problem is when we try to go right to the I am love, I am light, everything is beautiful, the life is good, I am happy. When we try to skip over those feelings, we're missing that body piece. We're missing the detox piece. And it's not really going to work. We can tell ourselves we're love and light as much as we want. But if we're resistant to it, because we've got that tension from all those stored up negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we never expressed, then you can have love and light come at you from all directions, and it'll bounce off of you because you're too tense. You can't feel it. You actually have to detox all those feelings first, and on the other side, then you can feel the love and the light and the healing and the joy. So there's a couple-step process. One is find a safe space. The second one is be present to how you feel and let yourself express whatever you need to express in your head or in your heart, because the body doesn't know the difference between something that you imagine. If you're fighting and if you're angry and if you're ready to punch somebody in the face in your head, you can still look very calm. Your body is still expressing this. your body is still detoxing it because it doesn't know the difference. So you can look like you're completely peaceful, but as long as inside of your body you're allowing yourself to express that and be present with it, it can move through you. And once those negative emotions have moved through you, they've come out of your body, then it can be relaxed enough to receive whatever love and healing you want to give it. And so it can be a short process or it can be a long process. Sometimes it can take a few days if something that's been really deep has been triggered. Sometimes I've spent up to 3, 4, 5 days while I was through my healing process, not being able to do anything but be present to how heavy I felt and how hurt I felt. I'd still get up and do the things that I needed to do, but that I would find that sacred space and I'd let myself be present with it. Because only on the other side of this detox, of this emotional detox, are you going to get the wisdom. Because otherwise you're all armored up. Your body's too tense and it's too full. Hey Brenda, it's too shut down, that it can't receive all of those blessings and all of the things that the universe wants to give you and all of the love that's around you. It cannot literally accept it. You have to detox these emotions first, and then only after your body can relax enough, because it's not protecting itself from itself, only when it can relax enough, that's when you can breathe. That's when the healing can come in. Because I don't know about you, it's very difficult to breathe deeply when I'm locked down, when I'm in fight or flight. And I spent probably at least the first 30 years of my life in almost chronic fight or flight. So if you've done the same thing, if you spent even 1 year, 5 years, or 20 years, or 40 years in that almost chronic fight or flight, you have to be very gentle with yourself and very kind, because you've got a lifetime of emotions which have been stored up into your body and which haven't been allowed to move through. And so you have to be okay with the fact that feeling your emotions is going to take a while. It's not something that's just a snap. But on the other side of it, then you can have someone come into your office and give you grief and be as narcissistic as they want. You can do that, and their toxic energy doesn't trigger anything in you anymore, because you don't have anything that you haven't passed through you. And if it still does trigger, if all that toxic energy still overwhelms you, it means that it's a wonderful healing. It's an opportunity to get this stuff out of your system. So you don't necessarily have to do it with this person, unless they deserve it. I've gotten into big fights with people because I'm like, you know what? You're a big enough jerk, and I'm perfectly comfortable expressing the anger from a lifetime of anger at you. I have no problems with this. So sometimes a fight's a great way to do it. But otherwise, for most people who are nice, it's not good to take out all of that lifetime of emotions on them. So next time somebody triggers you and you feel flooded by anxiety or insecurity, I want you to choose whether you want to express it right there, or if you want to give yourself space later. I like to give myself space later, as I said, every morning, where you can be present to that feeling and let it come out of your body and let it flush out. Usually I have to go to the bathroom like 4 or 5 times, because it's a relaxing and a flush and a relaxing and a flush until you get far enough, until you're able to relax enough that you can bring that love in, that you can let yourself feel that love, let yourself feel that relaxation. Now, do I use some other tools? You bet I do. When I'm in this present space of feeling, sometimes these feelings are too much. They're too uncomfortable. And so I'll take the edge off with things like CBD oil or water, or I'll get up and take a shower. I'll get up and do something to give myself a break from feeling so much uncomfortableness. You don't have to do it all in one straight line. And you can use things like chamomile tea or sleepy time tea or hops or whatever you need to use to make this process a little bit easier. And when you do that, when you let it flush out, then you can have as much toxic negative energy come at you as you want, and you're able to say, that's really interesting, because you no longer have that buildup of all those negative emotions. And remember, it's not necessarily only your negative emotions. We still pick up negative emotions in the womb. We pick up patterns of negative emotions from our family, how they reacted to things. It could be stuff from generations ago. So this is the generation where we're really doing some great healing work, which includes this negative emotional detoxing. If you give yourself time on a regular basis, almost like every morning or every evening, give yourself a period of time to detox, and then it doesn't build up into some big blow up or some panic attack, or where you're immobilized, or where you end up so sick that you can't move, or your immune system shuts down, or the arthritis ends up too bad. Don't let yourself get that far. Put up a nice practice, mindfulness practice, where you can be present to whatever it is you're feeling, and then you can detox in a small step and a small step and a small step. You don't have to wait for someone to come and knock you on your butt, for someone to come and open up that door that you've kept closed for your whole life. Anything can trigger it. Billboards, pictures, movies, whatever. And use that as the opportunity to be like, oh, look, I'm feeling something. Let's detox it. So the next time somebody has toxic energy, I want you to pause for a moment, think about it, decide how you want to handle it, and give yourself space to detox whatever they triggered in you. And you will be so grateful, because before you got triggered, you had, let's say, 100 pounds on you of stress. And after you get triggered and you detox it, you've got like 75. Every time you detox, you've got less stress on your body, less stress on your psyche, and fewer things in your environment actually knock you over anymore. Okay? So it's totally worth it, mentally, physically, and spiritually, okay? So if you feel stuck, if you're in some toxic situations, if you've got a lot of negative emotions going on, and you need some help getting back into alignment, doing things that help you actually thrive and move on to the next step, let me know. Private message me. I have coaching programs. I do the live streams every day. And we do workshops like every month, every other month. And we've got a narcissism series coming up. We're going to be starting either next week or the week after. Look for it. I'll be doing interviews with other healers who have also been in toxic relationships. And we're going to be focusing on different topics, like, the 5 ways to stop an argument when the narcissist verbally attacks you. We'll have a whole conversation around that for, like an hour, hour and a half. I'm thinking 90 minutes. So we'll do this for a few weeks, and it'll culminate with a big round table with everybody, where we can really share all of our different healing perspectives on how to deal with this incredible toxic energy that's around us anymore, and how we heal ourselves and how we become that light that we need to become. Because you can't do it alone, and you can't do it in the darkness, and you can't do it in isolation. It's just not possible, okay? So like, love, share, comment on other people's comments, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye!